Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast made by fans like you, for fans like you. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Kuzma, about a day removed from the Pittsburgh Steelers' loss to the New England Patriots at home, 27-16. Score indicating 11 points, covering the spread. They also had the under of the over-under in this game, and I was really worried going in that maybe the over-under indicated that it could be really over. And at least I'm seeing some positive from Steelers Nation, but I'm also seeing a lot of negative. A lot of people freaking out because they lost 2 games in a row. A lot of people calling for Mike Tomlin's head. Some other crap that's been out on the internet from Colin Cowherd and just saying that, you know, the Steelers are only a good team because they have a good quarterback. Well, hey, duh, Colin. What do you think there, buddy? I mean, I'm going to address that maybe in another episode because I don't want to take away from there were positives in this Patriots game, and this game was much closer than the score indicated. I felt even re-watching this yesterday that the Steelers, they had a chance even through 3 quarters. They forced the Patriots basically almost 3 and outer on a very short drive to open up the second half. They had opportunities that were blown, points that were left on the field. You think about the very first drive, they elect to take the ball. They wanted to keep it out of Tom Brady's hands. That was kind of against what I felt I wanted them to do as far as a game plan, but I'll tell you what, it almost worked. It almost worked, and they forced the New England Patriots on their very first play, their very first possession to turn the ball over. Jarvis Jones having a fantastic game. He's starting to really come into his own. I know the Steelers aren't getting sacks, but Jarvis Jones now part of several turnovers. He's the guy that's getting pressure. They did get pressure on Brady. There's a few instances where they should have got off the field on third downs. I mean, this is the New England Patriots. Let's face it, folks. When you're missing, I don't know how many starters we had out, like 5. There were 7 players that were totally out, inactive, injured. I did see Rosie Nix came back, but you had Antonio Brown leave the game in spells. You had Sammy Coates, who didn't come in until late in the game because Antonio Brown was banged up. He didn't play hardly at all. So you have a practice squad player in Kobe Hamilton. You have a former practice squad player and a guard that is playing right tackle as Chris Hubbard. You have a third-string quarterback, Landry Jones, who did have the opportunity to compete for the backup spot when they re-signed Bruce Gradkowski, who was the backup and the second stringer. A lot of people forget that. And a lot of people calling for Zach Mettenberger to play in this game. And I thought Landry Jones did more than enough to put the Steelers in a position to win rather than lose. Sure, he threw a pick after the first turnover, some miscommunication. I'm not even sure. Landry Jones, those are the type of plays he's probably going to throw a pick on, but those are the ones he's also going to connect with. And we saw that happen later with Darius Hayward-Bay on just a bullet. He goes through all of his reads and progressions, and we're going to be breaking down the offense and defense on SteelCityUnderground.com on Wednesday with our normal film room breakdown articles on both sides of the ball. We should even maybe do a special teams one since we have the bye week, and there was some great special teams play by Jordan Berry. We saw Greg Warren, one of the longest tenured Steelers that still has all those Super Bowl rings, the long snapper, recover a fumble. How freaking cool is that? We see Big Ben standing on the sideline. He's standing there for most of the game. He ran out the tunnel. Telling you folks, he's going to be back for Baltimore too, so no reason to really fret. A lot of people, let me tell you, if you were to tell me going into this game that Landry Jones is going to complete more passes, 29 to 26, or to 19, 10 more passes than Tom Brady, and he's going to attempt 47 passes in this game to Tom Brady's 26. We'll put it this way, 19 for 26, 222, 2 TDs, no picks. I would have said those would have been Landry Jones' stats rather than Tom Brady's. Of course, 29, 47, for Landry Jones, 281 yards, the 1 touchdown, the 1 interception. He threw for the longest completion against the New England Patriots this year. He had several balls downfield. There were some penalties in this game, and not to sound like the biased homer that I really am, so I'm going to sound like the biased homer. But you know what? If you're listening to this, you're a Steelers fan anyway. If you're not, get off the show. No, I'm just kidding. There's some great people who have given me feedback, too, that listen in from other teams, and I do appreciate you, and I do appreciate you following all things NFL. I do the same thing, but I have a bias for my team. I love my Steelers, and I do feel there were a few crap penalties that were in this game that either should not have been called, keep the flag in your pocket, or they should have went a different way. And one of those was a deep ball to Darius Hayward-Bay, where was it underthrown? Did he overrun the route or whatever? I really felt that he had no chance to even try and make an attempt for this ball. You see the Patriots corner just never, or was it Eric Rowe, the safety? I'm trying to remember who was in coverage there. And he never looks back to the ball whatsoever. Got his hands all over him. I'm telling you, if this is the Steelers, I've seen this call so many times called against us, and it's just, I get upset when there's inconsistencies with the officiating like that. Now, the suplex tackle when there's no whistle with Artie Burns, okay, Lev Bell got one. They kind of gave Lev Bell a gimme after the whistle. Somebody comes in late, and that was almost like a makeup call. So I'm cool with it. I would prefer either way that it doesn't happen, because I feel cheated there that the Steelers, just given like a first down for something that's just a part of football. So those two equalize each other out, but the Hayward-Bay one, that would have been huge if he could have come down with that. And I have no idea how you don't see Kobe Hamilton have his hand pulled back. And I originally had said something to one of my friends, may even been on Twitter and out in the public eye, and I will make a redaction if it is, that Phil Simms did say Kobe Hamilton tries to make a one-handed catch, and he kind of mutters under his breath after the replay that they have on CBS is over, and says, well, it's kind of hard because his hand was pulled by the Patriots defender. Well, no kidding. I don't know how that call could be missed at the professional level. We saw a call like that just watching Ohio State and Penn State the night before that was probably just as bad or worse. But these are professional NFL referees, and I just don't understand how you can't see that somebody gets his arm completely pulled. That would have been another big play in a game where big plays were most certainly needed. And then the final one, of course, Chris Hubbard gets called for a holding call where he doesn't pull or hold. He just kind of has his arms out, making himself bigger, which is what a lineman's supposed to do. Didn't really clothesline the guy or anything. And this Patriots defender was already slipping, had his feet come out underneath him, and I can maybe see the mechanics and motions leading an inexperienced referee towards maybe making that call. But come on, guys. These aren't inexperienced referees. These are guys in the NFL, and that negated the tying touchdown in the second quarter. It would have made it 14-all. Instead, the Steelers get no points there. Chris Boswell, totally unlike Chris Boswell. And I heard Charlie Batch say this, and I hadn't really realized, because the Steelers were scoring a lot of points. They were very efficient in the red zone, particularly with Big Ben, that Boswell hadn't attempted too many field goals yet for the year. And this probably contributes to how he misses two in this game. Now, the one he misses here, huge clutch, that sucks. But 54-yarder, I'm not going to hold his feet to the fire. That would have been a career long. And in Heinz Field, we all know, we've seen it through the years, anything that starts getting about 45 plus is difficult to make, even if they closed in that a small piece of that, what used to be the open end of that stadium with the scoreboard. So a 54-yarder, I'm more or less, I'm upset with the coaching staff for having made the decision to not go for it on 4th and 3 when you're down. I think you're still down 11 at that point. And come on. I mean, the defense through 3, maybe even 3.5 quarters was playing pretty darn good. You give up a play right down the middle behind the back of Robert Golden with Rob Gronkowski, but I mean, come on, folks. How many times do Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski do that to every team in the NFL? You're going to take some shots from the other side because they are professional football players, and they're supposed to be the best team in the league. And had the Steelers not had these few mishaps throughout the game, they are in it. I mean, they statistically, you look at this box score, and you see, okay, third down efficiency is something. The Steelers had a few opportunities twice on one of the scoring drives to get off the field. They allowed Brady to run for a first down, I think, twice in this game, once on the one drive that I'm referencing, and then there was another one where Brady gets forced out of the pocket. I mean, Javon Hargrave was close. Jarvis Jones was close to getting a sack. Stephon Tuitt was close to getting a sack. I think Arthur Moats was close to getting a sack. They had the pressure on Brady. He escapes out of the pocket, connects this little pass down the sideline to James White for a first down, and you're just like, oh, it's just so close. It's so nerve-wracking to either not have the sack, have the pass broken up, whatever be the case. Those are just the breaks when one thing swings one way and it doesn't swing back for you. They win the turnover battle as I had thought. They actually had more yards offense. They won the time of possession. It's just very unfortunate that they couldn't do more with this. Did the Patriots move up and down the field? Yes. Jordan Berry puts the Steelers in a good position, though, where there are multiple times that they had third downs that they could have stopped New England from converting. New England does so 58%. Landry Jones even in this game. I really got sick of hearing the CBS announcers say, oh, well, that was almost intercepted. Well, getting your fingertips on a ball and having your hands totally on it in a position to catch it are two different things. And there was twice in this game. There was one that was thrown as like a fade route to, I think it was AB or DHB in the end zone that was tipped. Maybe it was Butler that tipped it for New England, and they were saying, oh, almost intercepted. It's like everything that gets tipped is almost intercepted when it's the New England Patriots. In fact, I was like vomiting in my mouth listening to these guys speak of this game. It was like the Patriots could do no evil whatsoever, and I just don't think they realize how biased. They think this team is just so flawless. Well, they weren't flawless on Sunday, and the Steelers just were unable to capitalize on mistakes. I mean, the Patriots got 7 off of the turnover where it was a blown opportunity. Tried to throw that touchdown to Antonio Brown. It just didn't work out. Let me tell you, even if Big Ben's in there, that same type of play can happen. We've seen Ben. We've seen it happen. We've just seen it happen. And I'm not going to say Landry Jones I prefer over Ben. There's no way in hell 100%, 100 times out of 100 I want Ben on the field. I'm just saying, hey, just take it for what it's worth. And a lot of people are like, well, you're downplaying a loss. You're downplaying a loss. There's no moral victories in a loss. It's still a loss. Well, I understand it's still a loss. That doesn't gone over my head, okay? But you have to think in the terms of they're playing the best team in the NFL at home with all of these backups in place. They're working Shazier back in. You didn't have Cam Hayward on defense. You have to think if this Steelers team's healthy, and they're going to get healthy. They have a bye week here. We're going to have a lot of stuff out here on the bye week. Looks like Bud Dupree is aiming for a comeback in about 2 weeks maybe. Ladarius Green is cleared, just waiting for Mike Tomlin to say, hey, let's start practicing. And they only get a couple practices this week during the bye. So maybe they'll start working them out, but I don't think they're going to burn this week because you have 3 full weeks to decide what to do and see if it is this ankle and it's not some head stuff that we've all forgotten about now because the Steelers have been playing up, down, and otherwise. Speaking of tight ends, let me cut in here. Geez, Xavier Grimble, man, killing me. I had a few plays he could have made here in this game and just some drops. And I guess that's why Xavier Grimble had difficulty making NFL rosters. I mean, there was like at least 2 that were really clutch that I wish he would have gotten. But anyway, back to Green. You've got a full week here, but it's limited because of the bye, the CBA, and how many practices you have. I don't know that I'm backtracking on this now because I'd forgotten. I think they only practiced twice this week. I'm not sure you want to burn this week as one of those weeks that's eligible to work them in and get them in with the offense. You want as many reps as possible when you're practicing 4 or 5 times in the week and you have the full slate, the walkthroughs and everything else. I think we're going to wait another week and maybe see Ladarius Green. I don't know. When he gets activated, I don't know who comes off the roster. It could be Grimble. It could very well be Grimble. But we'll wait and see on that. So Steelers are going to get stronger, faster, better soon. Real soon. Maybe as soon as this Baltimore game. So talking about this game, talked about the Boswell misses, talked about the turnover battle. I said, hey, this could have been worse. Just the penalties in this game, that tying touchdown. I mean, that would have been great at half. And in fact, if you look at it there, and they get a field goal, and it's 14-10, that could have very easily been 17-14 Steelers at halftime. And that could have changed the way that all the play calling was made throughout the game. When New England got that lead finally, and a lot of people are saying the defense quit. Even Ryan Shazier called them garbage, said they quit. Cam Hayward, the captain, calling them out. Yes and no. I don't like to say that. They can say that. Those are their teammates. It's very tough. You see that they didn't play Sean Davis out there. Their game plan was basically to put William Gay on Gronk and have him shadow him all over the field. Martellus Bennett and Gronk pretty much limited. They didn't do a whole lot. Gronk had 4 catches. He had the big touchdown. He had another one that was a nice setup, a first down, a big play. But for the most part, it wasn't Gronk beating this whole team. Brady had to spread this ball around. He had his little dink and dunks that he did. It was mostly Julian Edelman. Speaking of the one play that Mike Tomlin throws the challenge flag on, I'm not sure why you waste the challenge there. If you're going to call a timeout, you're going to call a timeout because you might need to challenge at some other point. So he loses a timeout that he can't use, that they possibly could have had saved in order to try and score there at the end of the half. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. I'm not really sure why he went and did that when he did. I've talked about Grimble, another guy stepping up from out of nowhere. But how about Kobe Hamilton? This guy playing in his basically his second start with the Steelers. I'm not sure he started anywhere. I know he was on the active roster with the Bengals many years ago, but since then, practice squad to practice squad to practice squad, bouncing around the league for about 3-4 years, lands here and comes up big with two third down conversions, 2 first down catches, just clutch. And Landry puts one ball like right on the money, and only Kobe can make that play, and maybe a lesser player doesn't. So very big there, a very big play. I think we were surprised we didn't see Eli Rogers as well, but in the same circumstances, he's also an inexperienced player, and perhaps they felt he didn't match up with their game plan of what they were trying to do against the Patriots. So we even saw Jesse James make a couple big plays too. I think just the biggest thing is the false starts. They had 5 pre-snap flags. You had like the holding. I think overall, if I go back and look at the penalties here, the penalty numbers, the Patriots were only penalized 4 times for 40 yards. The Steelers were penalized 10 for 85. You got to clean that up. Doesn't matter if I feel that some of them are wrong or not. You've got to play through those. And that's just the nature of the game. Sometimes you're going to get it your way. Sometimes you're not. When it works against you, you got to somehow get it in your favor. And if you're at home, I know you have a backup QB back there, but you still have a patchwork line. You still have Chris Hubbard. You still have Alejandro Villanueva, still relatively new as a left tackle in terms of NFL time and experience. And then you still have Jesse James and Xavier Grimble out there. Those guys are also just as inexperienced. You have someone up on the line as far as your wide receivers, making sure everything is in order. So, and there you go too. Darius Hayward-Bay. What is he, like a 4th or 5th string wide receiver when you look at this depth chart? Because Eli Rogers originally started at the beginning of this year. You had Antonio Brown, Sammy Coates, Marcus Wheaton was out, Sammy Coates was out. You have so many wide receivers, and somehow you find Kobe Hamilton, and he finds a way to shine. I think there are several positives you could take out of this. I feel very confident that if the Steelers are at full health and they have to play this New England Patriots team once again, I think they would do pretty darn good. I think you may feel the same way as well. The good news is we have a bye. We're going to go to Baltimore. There's 3 road games coming up, and some of these are inferior teams and bad defenses. With Baltimore, with Cleveland, and with Indianapolis on the road, you get the one game at home against the Cowboys. But Mike Tomlin, career 6-3 after coming off a bye. I feel very good. So we're going to be looking at some of this stuff coming ahead. Look at some of these other side storylines off the bye week and our next few episodes of the Steel City Underground podcast. So for at least this weekend, folks, you could sit, you could relax. There's no reason to react as though like some people react to preseason games about like losses. I don't think there's a Steelers fan anywhere that thought we were going into this game for sure and winning it. That's the way we thought with Miami. If you want to feel ugly and disgusted about that and you want to fire Mike Tomlin and Todd Haley and Keith Butler and everybody else and tell Rooney to sell the team because of that game, I'm with you. But over this Patriots game, I think it was one heck of a coaching job, and it just didn't go the way that we expected it. Against a lesser team, I think the Steelers could have pulled out that victory easily. But we'll talk more. Until next time, be safe, be good, and I will catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.